In this video, we're just going to go quickly through ISL Always On, the agent that's installed on remote computers for unattended access. This agent will run in the background on the remote computer, and as long as it remains on, your remote computer will always have the ability to be connected to at any point in time. However, there are a lot of functionalities at the remote side's disposal for changing the behavior of said connections. So let's just dive right into it. The first thing you'll be able to notice is the ability to change the permissions of the operator upon connection. Click Switch On or Off, and the computer status options will open. If remote access and desktop sharing are checked, we will enable the operator to access the computer. If the file sharing option is ticked, we will enable the remote user to access the computer folders that are being shared with ISL Always On. We'll explain more about this later in this video. Unticking remote access will disable all desktop sharing and file sharing. Okay, so close the computer status and move to the next section below. Here you will be able to see the remote users who have access to this computer. It's also possible to add a remote user by simply clicking on Add User and typing in the grant code. Each user has its own grant code, so open ISL Lite and log in, for example, as Bob. Under Set Unattended Access, we can find the code that is permanent and unique for each user. So let's copy the code and go back to ISL Always On. Paste the code and click Grant Access. We have now just given Bob access to this computer. Now let's get into some settings. We can either define settings for this computer for all users, or to go even further, we can define these settings only for Bob by clicking the settings icon next to Bob and then clicking Change from the dropdown. In the Authentication section, we can find some access password options. This is the password the remote user needs to connect to this computer. Now, Bob can use the main access password, but in general, it's not wise to share passwords. By checking the connection access password, we can set the password that only Bob will use. Click Change Password and set the connection access password and click Change. Another option is to use a series of one-time passwords. When this option is ticked, click Generate Passwords. A list of 50 passwords is generated, which can then be saved or printed and delegated to other remote users as you see fit. Now click Save and go to ISL Lite. Log in as Bob and connect to the remote computer. Now in this case, we can use the newly assigned connection access password or a one-time password. Once Bob types the password, he's connected to the remote computer. Okay, so let's close the ISL Lite session and go back to ISL Always On. Now let's change some settings globally for all users. So under Menu, we can click Settings from the dropdown. If you need to be notified about the connections being established, you can enter your email address in this field and check the options either to receive notifications when a session successfully starts, stops, fails, or when a file transfer has occurred. Now onto the computer options. These can be used to configure whether or not we want the Always On agent displayed in our system tray, and whether or not we want to allow a remote operator to be able to push upgrades to ISL Always On. Now the second option is especially useful if more users have access to this computer and they are using their connection passwords for access. Let's lock the settings with the main access password. Click Save and close the settings. Now the next time anyone wants to change the ISL Always On settings, they will require the main access password. So let's move on to a few more options located in the desktop sharing menu, as this is where it starts getting more interesting. Instead of the remote operator having to enter a password, you can tick this option right here, and upon trying to connect, you'll receive a message prompting you to allow or deny access. This only works if ISL Lite on the operator side is running the appropriate command line arguments, which you can find out more about in our manual. You can limit the number of operators connecting to this computer simultaneously by ticking the maximum number of active sessions to this computer option, and entering the desired number of maximum users that can be simultaneously connected to this computer. Leaving it blank means there is no limit. Now to give yourself some more room while using this computer, you can tick Show Notification of Incoming Connection. That way, when someone tries to connect to you, you get a notification first. You can also select Allow Local User to Reject Connection, and set a predetermined number of seconds before the connection is automatically granted or denied. Moving on to the security options. We can lock the computer upon certain events, such as when a session is established, adding another layer of security by requiring a system or user password, or if either side loses connection for any reason, or when the session is over in case the operator left the computer unlocked. Now, it is also recommended to tick Enable Black Screen when session starts, which will essentially hide everything going on this computer screen. This comes in handy when performing tasks remotely where the computer could be accessed or viewed by other employees. Now, while we have a lot written down about other advanced features in our help pages, let's just expose the use of access filters to block certain IP or MAC addresses, or only allow certain IP or MAC addresses connecting to this computer. The exact functionalities and their syntaxes can be found in our manual topic, Access Filters. Next, we have the file sharing overview. In this area, you can see which folders the remote user has access to. We can also add new folders that we can later access via the website. To share a folder, we can either click Add Folder in ISL Always On, or simply choose a folder and right-click on it. Just click Share this folder with ISL Always On. Now in this case, we already selected the location of the folder. Under Authentication, we can define the level of access if we decide to share the link with other people, either to allow everyone to access the link or to require a login for the remote users we defined earlier. For access permissions, we can define if the link is download only or if it will also have some other options, such as upload files, create folders, and delete files. Now once we have shared the folder on the computer via ISL Always On, you can log in to islonline.com at another location or on the computer to access files. So under Remote Access, click the Files button. Now click the shared folder. Here we can select the files we would like to download and now click the Download Zip button. We also have some other options to upload the files, create new folders, and so on. Alright, let's close the browser and open ISL Always On again. Finally, we can find the access history, the timestamps for the last 10 times this computer has been connected to, as well as which user connected to it and their IP address. For additional filters and time range, refer to the Show History button right here. We can also export the access history into an XML file. Okay, let's close the history. Now I hope you found this video useful. Please do not hesitate to get in touch if you run into any difficulties. Thanks for watching and see you next time.